Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Lana and I'm currently a second year graduate student. I am in the school psych program here at Fresno State. I previously posted a Q&A answering some grad school questions on my channel, and some people requested I do a part 2. So this is a part 2, just answering a few more questions that my friends and other people have asked me about going into grad school and how they can prepare. So I hope this is helpful to anyone that's watching, and let's get into it. Alright, so someone asked, did undergrad prepare you for grad school? If not, what do you wish undergrad had prepared you for before going into grad school? I did my undergrad at UC Irvine in Southern California. I don't really think it prepared me for grad school, if I'm being honest. I guess in some senses it did, some senses it didn't. Grad school is very fast-paced because they're obviously preparing you for a career straight after you get your degree. UC Irvine, it was quarter system, since some schools are like semester system and some are quarter system. So because it was quarter system, it is very fast paced. I remember in undergrad there was always like a midterm and exam and stuff like that. In grad school it's always there's something you gotta do, something you gotta study for. I think it did prepare me in that sense, like managing my time, but I don't think undergrad prepared me for the amount of presentations or discussions I would have to do in my classes. Because I had gone to like a UC, I mostly spent my time in very big lecture halls filled with like 300, 400 students, and I would sit in the back, take my notes. So when I got into grad school, it's really weird being in a classroom where there's only like 10 other students sitting around me and our professors are like expecting me to talk, and then I have a presentation like at least once a month. I feel like undergrad did not prepare me for that. And yeah, the seating in the classes is just really weird. My cohort, we sit at like one big table in a circle. We can see each other. I'm so used to like a lecture hall where I'm in the back of the class, not having to say anything. Classes in grad school really expect you to participate and engage. People are watching you, and I just wasn't used to that in undergrad. Someone else asked me, what were your stats to get into Fresno State's program? We're talking about like GPA. I think by the time I graduated UCI, I had like a 3.7. Other stuff that I know Fresno State's program specifically looked at was experiences, working in school settings or with children specifically with like disabilities. Someone else asked me, do you think working with kids helps you in this specific program? I definitely think so, because when we're at practicum, we're working with kids, so it's really helpful to have experiences with kids beforehand that you can carry on with you when you go into practicum. Someone said, would you recommend getting work experience first? Yes. I don't think you necessarily need like a full-time work experience first. I know on my resume, it talked about both my work and volunteer and like research experiences in undergrad, but they were all related to like school or like school psych in some way. Like I volunteered at a pediatric therapy clinic. I worked at an after-school program in a school in Irvine Unified School District. I think it's definitely helpful to get work and volunteer experiences that's working specifically with kids. I don't know how big a factor like research experience is, but I personally did have research experience when applying for the program. I was a research assistant for a lab in the education department at UC Irvine. I think part of the reason how I got accepted was this: I had so many experiences in school settings. What was the process of the applications, and were they different for each program? Oh my gosh. Oh, also, I'm drinking like a pumpkin spice chai with oat milk, and it is so good. I 10 out of 10 recommend. For those of you in Fresno, this is from Frap House. Anyway, the process of the applications, for those of you who did not watch my previous video, I applied to Cal State Monterey, San Diego State, Cal State Dominguez Hills, CSU Long Beach, and CSU Fresno. The process, the gist of it was mostly the same. Each of the schools required an application. With the application, they required like a resume and a personal statement. So the personal statement is where like it differs. They ask like different questions, so it really depends on the program. The main question they ask is like, why do you want to become a school psychologist, right? But then some of them ask like really specific questions like, how will you incorporate like cultural diversity or stuff like that. Some ask like, where do you see yourself in 10 years? Like, personal statements take forever to write, but you really gotta make them like personable to you. Write it in a way that's like compelling, captivating, and shows your passion. Honestly, start early on personal statements because there's gonna be a lot of like revisions you have to do whenever they send out admission decisions. They'll select you for an interview. Well, I got selected for like 3 interviews. Some programs do Zoom interviews, some do in person, and 2 of mine were in person, 1 was on Zoom. Go through the interview process, and then after that they'll send out like decisions of whether they accept you or not. Yeah, that's usually the process. I think you apply with a personal statement thing, answering their supplemental questions, your resume or CV, and then you get selected for an interview, and then you do the interview, and then you get the decision. I was originally waitlisted from both Cal State Long Beach and Fresno State. I really thought the world was like over when I saw I was waitlisted for both those programs. I was like, there's no way. But then I got off the waitlist for both of those schools. So yeah, someone just asked like my work experience overall in undergrad. Yeah, I mentioned like volunteering at a therapy clinic, working at an after-school program, being a research assistant, babysitting. Oh, I worked at a child care center my first year at UCI, like a daycare center. I volunteered for like a nonprofit organization that went around like schools in Orange County. Someone said, what advice would you give someone who wants to apply for a similar program? Get experience. Again, like volunteer, work, do research, builds up that resume a lot. Gotta start early on personal statements and tell a story as you write your personal statement, like why you really want to be a school psychologist, what inspired that. Do you think it is possible to work full-time while attending this program or like grad school? No, definitely not. How many hours a week do you commit to this program? Are these hours required? How many of these hours are studying or homework? Oh gosh. I feel like I commit like my whole life to this program. But right now, Tuesdays and Thursdays from like 10 a.m. to like 6-7 p.m. are just classes with like maybe an hour or 2 gap. Then Monday and Fridays, I usually do 7 hours of practicum each day. My Wednesdays, I usually do hours of studying. I don't know like specific, but it's hours. And weekends, Saturdays, Sundays are more free. Last weekend I did go on a trip with my friends like out of town, but I also like brought my homework there and I was doing it too. But I think it's definitely possible to take like a day off like Saturday and like not do anything at all. I stress out like when I don't do my homework, but some people like they set like a day and a weekend and they like don't do homework. I don't know the specific number of hours, but how I describe it is pretty much the schedule, like just balancing all of that. And I do work. I forgot. I do work. I'm like a sub, so I just pick up shifts whenever I can. Sometimes I'll pick up shifts on Mondays after practicum or Fridays after I get off practicum, or sometimes I'll sub on Wednesdays. It's just really busy when you work, do practicum, and do classes. Practicum hours are required. There's a certain number of hours that you need to get by the end of each semester. How do you balance life in grad school and stay so organized you have a social life? I will be honest, I don't sleep much, which I don't recommend, but it's really hard. But ways I stay organized are Google Calendar, Notion, and a hard copy like academic planner. I live off of Google Calendar honestly, and I love Notion to make it like all girly and pink. I found that setting like study dates at like cafes or like the library, those are the best ways I manage to like hang out with my friends and getting my work done as well. Just finding that balance. Again, I don't sleep much, so I don't know if I balance it well, but sometimes like I'll plan fun stuff with my friends at the end of the week, so then that motivates me to get my work done throughout the week. Set things to look forward to and do study sessions. It can be fun. Unless like you guys are yapping like the whole time, then that like defeats the purpose. But it can be really fun and productive if you make it that way. Someone asked like regrets on not taking a gap year. Yeah, I do regret it a little bit. It's really exhausting and burnt out. I got my bachelor's in 2.5 years at UCI. So I had put so much of my time and effort into all my classes, volunteering work, research. I was on board for a club. I was on in a dance group. Like I did all that at UCI in 2.5 years. Then I went straight into grad school after that. I am very grateful to be here, and I'm like super proud that I got here. But it is hard when you didn't really take a gap. Every summer I took summer classes. That's how I graduated so early. Going to grad school, when you apply, you have to be mentally ready for like the rigor and like the go like lifestyle. I do regret it a little bit, but regardless, I'm very grateful to like be here today. It's hard, but it's manageable, and it is what you make out of it, you know? Be productive, but have fun and take care of our own health and well-being. That's all the questions I have. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.